Dear friends, welcome to Operation Management class. And today we are discussing about capacity planning for product and services. So this is a module 5. Okay, these are some of the points which you're going to learn it at the end of the objectives which you are learning this capacity planning. What is the capacity planning? Importance of capacity planning. Discuss the ways of defining the measuring the capacity planning. Determinants of effective capacity planning. Discuss discuss the major considerations related to the developing capacity alternatives, briefly describe the approaches that are useful for evaluating the capacity planning alternatives. So we'll go one by one. Capacity is the upper limit or ceiling on the load that can be operating unit can handle. The exact meaning of this that the capacity in any industries or any organization, it's nothing but it's a capacity of industries or as a this may be good sector or it may be service sector where it can able to capacity of producing the output. There's a meaning of this capacity. Nothing but is upper limit. It's a maximum limit or a ceiling. There's an upper limit on the load that can operating unit can handle. Suppose, for example, if a company, a bicycle company, if they order for 100 bicycles in a week, if the bicycle company, it may be Hero or Mahindra or something, some XYZ company, okay, if that company can able to produce the 100 bicycles in a week, then that is the capacity plan. If it is, even though the if the company cannot able to produce 100 bicycles, then that is not the limit. So then limit of the bicycle or limit of the number of cycles produced in a week means the maximum count that is called the upper limit. So, what is the capacity? Capacity also includes the equipment, space, employment skills, and these are all three important things which you require for any organization. You should have some equipments and machineries or tools, whatever it is, you should have to produce a product or to provide the service, whatever it may be, service sector or it may be good sector. It doesn't make any differences. But if you take it in the overall organization, equipment, space, employee skills, all these are important. If you have more, more, more employee skills, the basic questions in the capacity handling are what kind of capacity is needed, how much it is needed, when it is needed. So important the capacity decision. What is the impacts? Ability to meet the future demands means it's the ability to meet the example. You can take the and the mask because suddenly some of the issues because of the COVID-19 in the society. So suddenly what happened? The manufacturers, the textile manufacturers or some other manufacturers suddenly took a decision and able to produce this demands because every month there is a huge demand for this mask. So you need to provide that demand. We need to meet that demand. Means by producing more and more, because each and everyone in the public should wear the mask. This becomes compulsory and mandatory in the society. So this is a policy made by the government. So what we have to do? So this is not this we as a textile industries we cannot able to manufacture that cloth other cloths like other shirts or pants or some trousers all these things but still they need to meet they need to make some the mask, all these things. Next, affects operating cost. What are the operating costs that affects? So whenever you decide, there are many challenges will come into the picture. It may be operating costs, how much you have to fix it. So if I want to manufacture one bicycle, what is the operating cost for this? So all these things are very important. Whenever when you make the capacity planning, then all these points comes into picture. Then you have to first finalize this. Then you should move on. Major determinants of initial cost. Initial cost means initially sometimes raw material is not be available in the local market. So you need to procure from the outside. That is very important. On determinants, how to store, how to bring the raw material, or where to how should we maintain the inventory? All these are the challenges. Involves long-term commitments. Of course, long-term commitments on that because Products, there are long term, there are many types of products. There's long term, short term, all these things. That planning also very important. Affects the competitiveness, which is very important. Affects ease of management. Globalization adds complexity. Impacts load range planning, long range planning. So when all these are the important key points we have to decide whenever you are talking about capacity decisions. Means whenever a company, automobile company or aircraft company challenge when they show the capacity, then definitely they should have looked into all these 8 points. That is, what are the future demands? Can you able to change the modifications? Can you able to meet the demands of the customers? The operating costs, initial costs, long-term commitments, competitiveness, ease of management, globalization adds complexity, impacts long-range planning. Because if you take any branded company or branded product, all these key aspects should be known to a organization, person, or a employer. Let us see the design capacity. There are three types of capacity. One is design capacity, one is effective capacity, other is actual capacity. What is design capacity? Design capacity nothing but it's a maximum output rate for a service. Why I'm talking about service? Because it may be service sector or good sector. Capacity and operation process or facility is designed for means suppose if you design a truck that it can take a load of 100 tons. That is called design capacity. If you're designing the truck for taking the 100 tons, that is called design capacity. Means the truck has capacity to bear the load of 10 tons. So then what is the effective capacity? Design capacity minus allowances such as personal times, maintenance and scrap. Suppose you cannot able to take, if you are designing for 100 tons on a truck, you cannot able to load exactly 100 tons on this. That creates a problem, because once again, that's the reason why they will give some allowances. Allowances means usually they will take for 85, they restrict 85 tons. Means for a safer side, for a maintenance. Maybe suddenly 100 times, even though the truck has capacity to bear the load of 100 tons, but it cannot be loaded for complete 100 ton. That is the effective. What is the effective? Then 85 ton is the effective capacity. So why it is effective 85 capacity? Because we are deleting, we are taking out we are giving some allowances for this. Whether it personal time, maintenance, scrap, not only for truck, in order to take any machineries or any component, whatever it is. So actual output, rate of output actually achieved cannot exceed the effective capacity. Rate of output actually achieved. What is the output achieved? So what is the output? That should be always this actual output always below the effective capacity. Means even if I tell 100 tons for a truck, we normally we load it for 85 because we look on how many safe factors, all these things. Then what is the actual capacity? When you calculate the actual output of the truck, the efficiency of the truck, then it should be less than 85 tons because we have given the allowances. We took the safe factor of safety, all these things considered. Next, these are some of the formulas for efficiency and utilization. Efficiency nothing but actual output divided by effective capacity. Utilization nothing but actual output divided by design capacity. Utilization means based on the design capacity, whereas efficiency based on the effective capacity. Both are measured, expressed in percentages. Keep in mind, there are numerical in this chapter. We need to calculate. So I just given the example. Let us see that design capacity is 50 trucks per day. Effective capacity 40 trucks per day. Means this is the manufacturing capacity. But actual output is 36 units per day. Means actually the plant is designed such a way that means the automobile truck manufacturing company designed that it can produce 50 trucks per day. But effectiveness is that 40 it can effective capacity means after minusing, after substituting, after taking out, after giving the factor of safety, taking allowance time, personal lunch break, all this break, machinery maintenance, some breakdowns, all this you consider it comes down to 40 trucks per day. But actual output is at the end of the day, actually practically it is 36 trucks per day. So this is how we calculate. So efficiency once again, output by effective capacity, utilization, output by design capacity. You can tell 36 units by 40, that gives 90% of efficiency. The efficiency is 90%, but utilization is 72%. So what are the determinants of effective capacity when you want to consider for effective capacity planning? Okay, what are the determinants? Which are the things which is going to determine? Which are the things which is going to decide the effective capacity? Whenever a company speaks about our company is effective in ca- capacity planning, then what are the things? What are the major key things which decide that capacity planning? That is facilities, that is machineries, infrastructure, whatever the things available in the company, the organization. Next, product and service factors, process factors, human factors, policy factors, operational factors, supply chain factors, and external, some other external factors. Facilities, the machinery, the tools, the process, all these things will come under facilities. The product and service. Maybe many organization have, some organization may produce the automobile, some organization may produce the even the small pen pencil. Okay, some organization may give the service also, like something like a hotels, hospitals, all these things. There are some factors. There are some, the whole procedures is different. The process factors. Sometimes if you manufacture a precision component, then it should undergo many quality checks. Whereas some other component, they did not have to go for quality check. Just randomly they will take out, they will produce and they will put into the market. There are many process factors, human factors. There are sometimes in the industries there are some skilled laborers, there are some trained laborers, whereas in some companies there are unskilled laborers. Policy factors, because whenever you go for a medicine company or some other uh, any company, you take example of some medicine company, there are some list of policies. They cannot even just distribute, produce uh, the medicine and just sell it in the market, because there are some policies. They should undergo some procedures. The policies, what are there are some government policies. The medical, they say some tests that medicine should undergo some certification process. All these things. There are some policy factors. Next, operational factors. How to operate. If you manufacture, if you design, if you are invent a medicine for some disease, then there are some operational factors. First, you should have some. They should check. They should check it. They should take a trial on many process, many things, many uh, many animals. So then finally, they should touch it to the human beings. So supply chain factors are very important. Some medicines. You take an example of medicine. Some medicines always should be stored in the cold. Some, some it should be maintained below less than 25 degree at 25, 20, 30 degree. So then you require a thermal cold chain. The supply chain, it should come always should be in the container which is having cool. Next, there are some external factors, maybe external local market issues, local policies. Okay, all this comes into picture. So these are some of the effective capacity. Determine these. These are the key points which it decides in the developing an effective capacity. Strategy formulation. Let us see that capacity strategy for a long-term demand, demand patterns, growth rate, variability, facilities, cost of building and operating, technological changes, rate and direction of technology changes, behavior of the competitors. Means capacity strategy for a long-term demand. Means start whenever you're doing some planning, you should have a long-term demand. Means you cannot start a company which is having a market for just 1 year or 6 months. Suppose if you manufacture a the mask company, if you start a company, it may be this COVID may prevailing, maybe this may be this epidemic maybe for another 6 months. Afterwards, gradually people will not wear the mask. Then the company should have the capability to change over the product. Means from mask to some other handkerchief or some other things. So they should have a long term demand. So they should keep the customer. Okay, that's the meaning of strategy. Demand patterns. What are kind of demand they will get it from the customers? What should have what are the patterns should have? Next, growth rate and variability. We should have adaptability. It means whenever you cannot start company and you cannot make it a loss. So when you're selling the product, should have the growth rate. There should be linear growth. Next, facilities, cost of building and operating. Okay, that should be counted because if you are paying a rent for some buildings and if you are starting a manufacturing, what are the things you produce? 50%, 60% of the things goes to the building cost or rent of that that won't work. That won't work. Then should plan. Whenever you're talking about capacity planning, you should plan according to the facilities also. Technological changes, rate of direction and technology. That's what I'm telling. Each and every week, a new mobile will come to market, being based on there will be changes in technology. There may be some minor modification. There may be, but the mobile company, manufacturing company should have that capacity to change that technology adaptation to other technology changes. Suppose just 1 year back, we have got the mobile phone which is having single camera. Just I'm talking about 5 to 6 years back. But now we have two cameras, that is front and back. Now we have some 3 to 4 cameras at the back end of the mobile phone. Like this, then when technology changes, there is an advantage, there is also a disadvantage. But still, the company should have that adaptability capability. Next, behavior of the competitor. Of course, is one of the major key strategy. Whenever you sell it, you should plan whether you have to sell it in a Asian country or some African country or some other countries because we should know about our competitors. Availability of the capitals and other inputs should have the knowledge of these things because when the raw materials, all these things becomes the price of this becomes very high, then you should plan accordingly. Then you should fix the price of the product accordingly. That so key decisions of capacity planning: amount of capacity needed, capacity cushion that is 100% utilization should be there. Timing of timing of changes, need to maintain balance, extent of flexibility of facilities. These are the key decisions. So whenever you decide for key planning, there is a capacity planning, then you should have the amount of capacity needed. Amount of capacity that is 100% utilized. You should utilize 100% of the resources. Timing of changes means whenever you changes from one product to other product, the timing should not be a very long gap. And whenever you release a product, that should be properly planned. Maintain balance. You should always balancing is very much important because whenever sometimes there will be huge demand, sometimes there will be no demand. Then we should check out the sales. We should have a control over the production. We should have control of the sales. Then you should balance that. Next, extent of flexibility of facilities. Sometimes suddenly technology changes. So suppose you are producing one product which is having certain design, but suddenly a new technology comes into market, then your company should change that accordingly. You should have that flexibility in the facilities, right? So next, we'll look on this. Step, steps for capacity planning. How to achieve the capacity planning steps? What is estimate the future capacity requirements? What are the things you require for the future requirements? Then you should list that. Should estimate that. Next, evaluate the existing capacity. You should check our existing current situation of the company or organization. You should think that, evaluate that, whether we can able to meet the demands in the future. What are the things we need to upgrade? What are the things we need to upgrade the machineries? Which are the new tools which I have to upload in my company? What are the skills I should adopt for my labors? So that is evaluation. Next, identify alternatives. If this product doesn't work, then you should have a change. Immediately, you should take a change the product. You should have some alternatives for this. If this product will not doesn't means there is no demand for this kind of product in certain area, some local market, then you should check for another market. Conduct financial analysis, very much important for any organization. You should have the financial analysis. Otherwise, simply producing and selling will not come. We should have some targets. We should reach that. Should have certain set of goals. All this comes into the financial analysis. Access such key quality issues. Any key quality issues. There may be some. You take any industry, there should be some one or two issues. It may be local market, local policies, whatever things. Okay, all these things issues you should have that. You should have that control over that things. Select one alternative. Should have one. Select or should have one alternative. Implant implement alternative. Choose and monitor results. Means if that doesn't won't work, take one alternative. Work on, and monitor the results. Means just analyze the results. So it will you can achieve the thing. So this is how you can slowly you can uh, take the capacity of planning in an effective manner. Forecasting long-term, short-term capacity needs. So if it is long-term relates to overall level of capacity such as facility size, trend, and cycles. Means how many batches, all these things. The short-term relates to variation of seasonal, random, irregular function interval. There are many products which are some of them are seasonal, some of them are long-term, some of them are short-term. So long-term you can have size, facility, trends. Suppose you manufacture a cloth, throughout the year there is a demand. But if you manufacture a sweater, something, it's a seasonal sale. Only during the winter, it is the, the sweater, shawl, the wool things, the wool based materials will going to, it has got huge demand. So you should check whether it should, it comes in the forecasting. Whenever you're forecasting, you should check whether it is long term or short term. So these are some of the numericals. There's some product one, two, three. They've got annual demand 400, 300, 700, and the processing time is given 5, 8, and 2 hours. Okay, processing time needs 2000, 2400, 1400. If annual capacity is 2000 hours, then we need three machines to handle. Required volume is 5800 hours divided by 2000 hours, that is equal to 2.90 machinery. 2.90 machinery means almost you should require three machines. 2.90 is something as a decimal part, so we are changed it to three, means we are rounded off to three. This is the meaning of these things. So next we'll have, I'll just skip on the, this is not there in the curriculum part, so I'll just skip it. Right. Developing a capacity alternative. Design flexibility into system. Take stage of life cycle into account. Take a big picture approach to capacity changes. Prepare a deal with capacity chunks. Attempts to smooth out capacity requirement. These are some of the developing capacity alternatives. How to make the design capacity alternatives? First is design the flexibility. What are the flexibilities are there? Which are the things you can, the company has a flexibility in making the design, I mean, making the product or releasing the product. That flexibility you should list it out. Next, take stage of life cycle. And the life cycle, the component is very important. If you produce one chair, there should be some product life cycle analysis that should be analyzed. Then take a big picture approach to capacity. You take it a big picture. Big picture means say, you take it in a big scale. You think it in a big scale, and definitely there is a market for that. If you think it in a very small scale, then it doesn't work. Whenever you do a small thing, whenever you produce a small mobile pen, pencil, whatever, you take it in a big picture. Big picture approach means you give it in a very, you think that is a, proudly you can present it to the market. Definitely, like, you should have analysis. Before that, you should have analysis whether what kind of market customers are, what the customer looking for. Then you should have that changes. Prepare to deal with the capacity chunks. Attempts to smooth out capacity requirements. Means whenever you should make some attempts to smooth out the capacity requirements. So whenever you make all these points, then you can develop the capacity alternatives. Means you can have the flexibilities in changing the product or system, whatever it is. So we stop here. Okay, we continue for the next class. Thank you very much.